Welcome to the Book Party Podcast.
Join us as we journey into the world of books with Michael T.
Prepare to be captivated by engaging interviews, insightful discussions, and fascinating stories. You'll discover new adventures and gain insight into the creative process of the authors themselves as they share their struggles and accomplishments. Now let's hear from Michael T.
This is Michael T. Thank you for being with us this morning. To all our listeners, I would invite you to go to bookpartypodcast.com. That's bookpartypodcast.com. Hit that subscribe tab on top, then scroll down to the icon of your choice where you can find us on one of your favorite platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Podcasts, or Odyssey. You can download one of those and follow us there. Please don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, where you can get the latest information on our upcoming shows. Today, I would like to introduce our guests, Angela Page and Mia Artieri, and their book, There's a Dead Girl in My Yard. Angela Page is a writer, producer, and author of Matched in Heaven and Suddenly Single Sylvia. She is based in South Florida and Los Angeles. Mia Altieri is a Los Angeles-based actress, author, and voiceover artist. She lived in a Topanga Canyon guest house where she witnessed an urn buried in a yard and agreed to manage the mourners. Ladies, why don't you take it from here, fill in the blanks, and tell our listeners about yourselves.
Thank you so much, Michael, and we're thrilled to be on your show. So, as you said, I am actually a writer and a producer. I have some short films on Shorts TV channel and Indiepix and FunnyorDie. The book you mentioned, Suddenly Single Sylvia, was made into a short film, and that's how I met Mia. She's actually one of the co-stars of that film, playing being a date match with an older gentleman, kind of a May-December thing, and that's how we met. And from there, we went on the festival circuit with that film. And as we were arriving in one of the festivals, in a Starbucks, Mia said to me, "Oh, I'm so annoyed at all these text messages." And she said, "There is a dead girl in my yard." And I stopped and said, "That's a book, that's a film, that's a something." And we took it from there.
How about you, Mia?
And that is the truth. Starbucks on the way to Sholo, Arizona. Yes, along with what you have said about me, and I am also a private chef up at a Tibetan medical and rejuvenation center, amongst other little odd things. I'm an improviser, and I'm on a team called the Chaperones, and we have an ongoing show monthly, the fourth Friday of each month. And that's quite a big hoot. We host it and usually have two other teams with us, and maybe sometimes music and sometimes stand-up. And that's fun. I live in Topanga, as Angela said, not in the house where the dead girl was, so to speak, planted. But nonetheless, I drive by her every day.
Okay. Okay, so in this particular book, did you do this as self-publishing, or did you go through an agency to publish this book?
We actually did a hybrid publishing, which is share costing with a publisher who was located in South Florida and Naples, Florida. We shopped around and were accepted at several hybrid publishers and picked this one because it seemed to be the most cost effective, and we liked the publisher a lot, and we wanted to fast track it, obviously, because if you're sitting around waiting for trad publishing, it could be an eternity, and we're not young spring chickens anymore. So we did not want to wait. So and we'll discuss later why we wanted to fast track. So we were, and on top of that, by the way, we produced our own audiobook with a boutique studio in Hollywood, California. So the audio was released recently, about a year after the book came out, and we narrate the audio ourselves. I
Oh,
play the
okay.
dead girl, and Mia plays the main character.
Okay. So, but when you did a hybrid, did you guys involved in any of the editing or formatting or anything in the book?
Oh yes, absolutely. We were very
Yes.
much involved. There was the first round was developmental editing, so we actually expanded on some of the chapters and some of the themes and characters in that the first couple of rounds of edits, and we were heavily involved in the process right to the end with the proofreading as well, and the
Yes.
choice of the cover. He gave us
And
6 or
yeah.
7 choices, the cover choice. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had a big say in the cover choices, obviously. But it was great to work with
Oh, okay.
Barrington.
So take us to a point of what you would consider, and I don't know, maybe you both considered it differently or together, of what you would think of being your worst author moment with this book.
I would say it was the daunting task of coming to the word count. I had written other books before, but this was really concerning as to did we have a 70,000 word story or not. And that was kind of we had to really come to grips with that possibility. We may not have a book that would reach that word count, but we actually did in the end.
Well, not
76,000
all
words.
books need to be, super novels, but you wanted it to be that type of book, obviously.
Yes, yes, we did, and we wanted it obviously uh, palatable to a publisher and maybe an agent. We did not get an agent in the end, but we did. We were attractive at that word count to
So
several
you overcame
publishers,
that,
small
obviously,
and
right?
hybrid.
Okay,
Yeah, we
fantastic.
did. We did.
So on the flip side, now this could work differently for both of you because you're working on the book together. Take us to a point in time where you had an incredible moment where the light bulb went off in your head, and and it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's just some call it an aha moment. I call it an epiphany moment, where all of a sudden, bam, it went off in your head. I got to find a pen. I got to write this down right now, because if you don't write it down right now, it's going to fade and you don't have it anymore. Take us to a moment like that.
Well, I'll start first. It was pretty simple. I was sitting in a writer's workshop where you had a loan to 4 hour session. And because the main character is based on Mia and her real life scenario, I suddenly got her voice in my head channeling the main character in her own voice. And I could hear her voice telling me about the dead girl in the urn, the mourner management, the characters that would come to mourn the woman in this urn and the olive tree. And I produced, I think, in the 4 hours, the first 3 chapters, all in the first person. It was her voice in my head. That was the aha moment. And then we went from there. It kind of started to
What
flow.
about you, Mia?
Yeah. Well, I guess the real aha moment, I mean, well, when I was just having my little meltdown in a Starbucks because this guy wanted because I was in the guest house, he wanted the master gate code to get into the property whenever he wanted to visit the tree. And I just pretty much lost it because who do you think you are? You might get shot coming onto this. So, so with that, I mean, and that's when Angela caught me, and when she said it's a book, it's a movie, it's a thing, and then we spent the whole weekend I spent the whole weekend telling her about it. But it wasn't for me really. She called me after her writing experience with the 4 hours and asked if I wanted to write with her, and I was like, oh yes, because this is my first novel, and we were doing it during the pandemic, and honest to goodness, it was one of the things that just kept me alive, because we'd go back and forth and we would zoom and we'd crack up and we'd laugh until we were in tears over some things. But it has to be when Angela called and asked me if
So
I
you're
would do it
doing
with
this
her.
during the pandemic. You must have been in Florida.
Actually, I spent the first part of it in Los Angeles. During we had lockdowns, we had besides COVID, we had, because of the riots that went on in
Oh,
June, so we had
yeah,
curfews,
curfew.
and there was an earthquake at one point, and even a local lockdown because there was a shooter at one of the demonstrations in June. And I finally said, I think I'm going back to Florida,
Well,
even though it's hurricane
the
season.
reason I'm
I will
saying that is
finish.
she says during COVID, and she's at a Starbucks, and in California, you're not going to be during COVID at a Starbucks, right?
Yeah, no, it
Well, then
literally.
I was that's
Ah,
not clear. So it was right
oh,
before
okay.
COVID that we were going to the film
Ah, okay.
festival, and then it was a few months later that
Yeah, it was
Angela.
2019. It was October of 2019 that the aha moment came in the Starbucks, and then I started those chapters in November, and by the time lockdown happened in March, we were kind of
All
underway
right. I get it.
already.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So sorry
here
about
in Missouri, we didn't drink any of that Kool-Aid. We never had any lockdowns. We didn't, none of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway, okay.
that.
yeah.
Yeah, LA was a bit
We're going to
crazy.
talk about today, literally today. So, what is the one thing that you're the most excited about now, fired up about today?
We want to get this on the screen, big
Yes.
or little. And I've already written the episode 101 for the limited series, and we have been plugging it to producers. And of course, with the writer's strike and the actors' strike, we're kind of on hold. But we
Hmm.
have been fired up and gotten a lot of interest, and we're hoping that once the strikes are settled, that we'll get a
Okay,
deal.
fantastic.
Yeah, and we have a after the strike ends game plan. So we're both pretty fired up that
Very
it's going
good.
to happen.
Again, this is Michael T., and I thank you for being with us this morning. To all our listeners, I invite you to go to bookpartypodcast.com. That's bookpartypodcast.com. Hit that subscribe tab on top. Scroll down to the icon of your choice, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Podcasts, or Odyssey, where you can find us on one of your favorite platforms. Download and follow us there. And please don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to get the latest information on our upcoming shows. Now, ladies, we're entering the lightning round. We have 4 pointed questions for 4 pointed answers. So, what was holding you back from becoming an author in the first place?
Absolutely nothing. I just went straight for it, get those words on the page, and just hope for the best.
Yeah, and with Angela's partnership with Angela, I felt confident enough to finally get a dream done, which I think everyone wants to write a book, maybe not, but yeah, there's nothing holding me back except for maybe a good
Okay.
idea.
Okay, in the writing of this, what was the best advice you had ever received?
Doing an outline and a synopsis of the book. I had some coaching done at several points that we were writing this, and that was very critical. And not only that, but sharing the outline with my writing groups, so getting other
A
input as well.
good
And that was
a
my
good
roadmap.
solid outline is invaluable. I can tell you that right now.
Correct.
Okay, this is kind of
Right.
individual, I guess. To share one of your personal habits in writing that is well, it doesn't have to be the habit in writing, it's a personal habit that contributes to your success in writing.
I would say it's having a comfortable and ergonomic workspace, because if you're spending hours and hours at this typing on a small screen or wherever, you need to have stress free for your joints, your hands, your neck, and that is trying to and making sure that you don't tense up, because if you're going to do a long haul, a couple hours at a time, you better make sure that you're not going to end up very disabled, I should say, in the sense of not being able to move the
Okay.
next day. And that's for any age, I think.
Yeah, and for myself, I think the personal habit that contributes to my success is being in community and being in writing groups and taking different classes and experimenting in different types of writing to just keep expanding my, I don't know, my joy for it.
Good. Okay. How about in this writing, sharing an internet resource that you can share with our listeners?
I would encourage everybody to join Facebook groups that are in your genre, in your area. If you do nonfiction, fiction, and even any subgenres of your sci-fi writer, memoir writer, there are lots of groups, and you need to network and get into a writing group through these groups as well. They're invaluable for your journey as a writer. So that's the big one, I would say.
Yes, and I would definitely agree with that. I mean, we can find just about anything, but again, back to what I said, for being connected and also having accountability. So I'm sure that there's a lot. I don't have one specific website I would send anybody to, but they're there.
Okay, good. Okay, ladies, we're entering the grand finale. And in the grand finale, what I'd like you to do is just tell our listeners a way they can get in touch with you, follow you, find your book. Maybe it's a website, maybe it's some other kind of platforms. And then just take your time and tell our listeners about your book.
Well, I would actually start by telling you what the log line of the book is, and that is a middle-aged, struggling actress witnesses an urn being buried in her yard and gets embroiled with a dead girl, a Latina health guru, through her criminal antics from New York to Miami to Los Angeles. And that's the premise of the book, and it's written with the two voices. The dead girl comes in, and so does the actress, which is obviously loosely based on Mia and her experience as I was channeling her voice. The book is on Amazon. It's in Kindle, paperback, and audio on Audible. And you can also follow us on our website, deadgirlbook.com as well. And I have a personal website, angelapage.net. And you can find both of us on Facebook.
Yes.
You got anything to add in there, Mia?
And Instagram. Yes, and you can also find us at deadgirl.book on Instagram, and then we're both on Instagram. I'm at Mia Altieri, or you can go to at Mia in Motion Creative.
All right. Well, ladies, we thank you so much for being here with us today and opening up to us, and I'm sure our listeners appreciate that too. Again, this is Michael T., and thank you for being with us this morning. To all our listeners, I'd invite you to go to bookpartypodcast.com. That's bookpartypodcast.com. Hit that subscribe tab on top. Scroll down to the icon of your choice where you can find us on one of your favorite platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Podcasts, or Odyssey, and download us and follow us there. Please don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to get the latest information on our upcoming shows. Book Party Podcast is owned and powered by MTM Legacy Publishing, LLC. This is Michael T. signing off.
You must not miss our next episode as we delve into a world of inspiration, entertainment, and thought-provoking insights. Join Michael T. on the next Book Party Podcast and experience a new adventure, a new story, and a complete immersion into the world of Pages Unveiled, Chronicles of the Writing Journey.